Welcome in 29ers. Jay Smithini here from the mothership back in Houston, Texas after a weekend of live cribbage, my first in like forever it felt like. Terry Cushman back home at the beach, Mr. Cornbread himself. Did you get any dessert cornbread over the weekend in Fort Walton?
I think Kirsten Brocken lectured me on my choice on that. But no, I haven't had any cornbread in a while. It would be wonderful if somebody made some, but yeah.
What a weekend. A lot went down over this weekend. Like I know I will you know, I don't want to go as far as say pat myself on the back, but I'm super proud of the Houston club. There were four of us that came out and I'll at least like quote well before anything, right? I want to give all the credit in the world to Jamie Fincher and Grant Crawford. I'm pretty sure his last name's Crawford, right? Yeah. Who were
And
the
Jim Cook.
directors? Yeah, and Jim Cook.
Cook.
Thank you. Yes. And really everybody who helped out at the Emerald Coast Open in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, where we played over the weekend. Like really well run tournament. There's a lot to do in these events, and I guess first time directors, and they had a lot to deal with, and I felt like they knocked it out of the park. Like nice venue, like they could do everything great other than control the weather. I think. It was a little chilly out there in Fort Walton, but I had a really, really great time. And to the Houston club, there were four of us that were there. It was myself, Rachel Ray Welsh, Kirsten Brock, and you already mentioned, and then Wendy Fuso. And we all got a little piece of it. Rachel qualified in all three events she played in, and that was awesome. I was super happy for her. Like Kirsten made a run in like a couple of events, and like Wendy had like a high score and like the Friday main, and I did pretty good on the Saturday like qualifying. So we all got a little something. I know it wasn't exactly the weekend you were looking for, Terry, off of your hot streak. I think your cards, I guess, took a turn like the weather did. So
Well, Houston was a problem by the sounds of it, and I was not.
you're easy pickings, huh?
I was on a hell of a hot streak, but yeah, on let's see, Friday, the 12 gamer, I lost my last two. I just needed to win one of my last two games and I'm in. And I kind of had a heartbreaker, which was my fault. That'll be covered later on in the analysis. What ended up being the final hand of my game with Brian Gurdon. That's the one I blame myself for on Friday. And then Saturday, I honestly felt like I was behind the 8 ball all day. And there was the middle part of the day, it was a 20 gamer where I lost 6 out of 8. And then I had to win my last 6 in a row, and I win 4 straight. And then I absolutely got destroyed by Brad Gronley, local guy, solid player. So I lose that one, but I've got 22, and I'm like, if I can get a skunk here in the last game, I'll have a prayer. And it ended up coming down to, I think it was the last hand. Yeah, it must have been the last hand. My opponent was 8 points back of the line. I was like within the last 10 holes, probably 6 or 7. And they had 5-6, queen, cut a king to get over the line by 1 point. So if I could have just held him a little bit or maybe did something different earlier, those were my chances to make it in one of the mains, and not my weekend.
Didn't come together. I will quote or feel sympathy for Chad Frischman, who was high non-qualifier in both the main and consolation for the weekend event, which is hard to do. Which, like my condolences to Chad, because being high non is unfun even once, and to do it twice in a row is pretty brutal. I'd be looking for a bridge, or I'd be looking to eat my feelings or do something. I'd probably eat a whole pan of dessert cornbread. I feel like that's going to be a recurring theme on this program, but yeah, no, fun event on the whole. Was it I think Jim Stewart won the main, beat Jim Correa. Like I said in the main on Saturday, I had a really good day. I lost my first 2 games. including the second one that was real deadly. Just had one of those where I was like way, way, way ahead and ended up just catching a clunker at the end. I think I didn't deal out from like 17. And then, right, and I'm already 0-2 in a 20 game event. Already feels a little short. And then I just went on like a really, really nice run, and I ended up with like maybe one of my best cards I've ever had in like a qualifying event. I've had a higher number, but this is only 20. I had a 32-15 and was second, and kind of whacked around the pools a little bit, which was cool. And then still did not win. We won the same number of playoff games this weekend, Terry, because I got
Oh no, you get swept.
yeah, I got ambushed and swept, and it wasn't particularly close by, I believe I think it was Sandy, Denmark, and yeah, none of the games were just like even like close to close. Just got ambushed there, and then didn't even had the buy, so it was already too late for the con. But yeah, but had a really nice time. Just good times with good people. Like I really, really like that tournament. It's kind of funny. Like there's so many tournaments in like this zone in this like 6 week period. And there's some that I want to go to that I just haven't. I don't know if I can swing it with like, because I want to keep going to the Fort Walton tournament. You've got the Phoenix stuff coming up in a couple of weeks where you will be, again, that honorary Houstonian for the weekend.
Yeah.
Like there's the Asheville tournament that you talked about, and I think the same weekend to Phoenix, there was a tournament in like the Philadelphia area that's run by I think like James Ravencroft and Scott Harker, that at some point I want to try to sneak out to. But I feel like it's hard to like skip that Phoenix tournament. So I don't know. I need more like these things to be spread out or retire or something. I think I forget if I mentioned this on the program before. Have I told you before my plan if my life falls apart?
To take a year off
Yeah.
and
So,
go and try to get more points than Brian Gurdon.
well, I mean, yes, that's part of it. Brian, who also won another event over the weekend, we won the consolation on Sunday. And what is it? No, but to more so like if I lose my job, and like if like Sarah, like my partner, like decides to like bail on me or something like that. That's spoiler alert. I don't think that's happening anytime soon. But like I feel like I would buy one of those like Volkswagen like Twinkies, like the ID Buzzes that are out there, and just do van life and just like travel around and play for like a year, and yeah, see what I could do, see if I could put together a Gurdon-esque run. So yeah, another win for him over the weekend. He said I think he's had 5 wins now this season, and God knows how many points. The guy's just a beast. We did get to play in the main on Saturday, and I whacked him. I was kind of happy at that. My card's just better, but it's always fun when that happens too. Yeah, I definitely got on a bit of a heater on Saturday. Those are always fun. It's funny, like I like lost the first 2 and then won the next 9 and went to lunch. And I was like, God, I don't want to take a lunch break now.
Yeah, because you're hot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hot. Like
Yeah.
it's I don't know. Like we've all had those stories where like you have a great car and you go to lunch and it falls apart. And I think I lost the first one back after lunch too. So I was like, oh God, here we go. Like, but luckily, like it was good. It's just a couple losses here or there. The what is it? Also the and I told myself I was gonna like make sure in my head I say the name right, but I believe it's the Ream family were there.
Yeah.
So Matt, and then Peyton and Abby, who I had not met before, and I sat next to her on the Saturday main, and like very, very nice young lady, like good card player. You could tell there's some good card playing blood in that family. What is it? I think Peyton made the playoffs in the Friday event. I think Matt made the playoffs on like Saturday. Abby was pretty close in both like Saturday and Sunday and just missed. But some real talent in that family. Like you wonder at some point, like it's but the oldest baseball trivia question, which I'm sure you've heard before, right? Is what set of brothers has the most home runs?
Oh, I don't think I have
And
heard that.
it's the Aaron
Oh.
brothers. It's like because the other Aaron, like Hank
Oh,
Aaron's brother, has like
okay.
2 home runs or something.
Uh, there we
And
go.
but I wonder if there's like a cribbage family best stuff. And I don't know, you probably start that with like Eric Locke and like his wife Courtney, right? You probably, couple has the most wins or something because, like no disrespect to Courtney, but Eric has a lot of wins.
Oh, true. So he'll carry
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I wonder if there's like a family, like legacy of like, oh, the most points or wins or something like that amongst like groups. So
I I wonder if the Hofbauers couldn't pull them all
oh
together
yeah,
and
there you
get
go.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hofpower dynasty, if you
'Cause
will.
you got 3 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, so and I'm sure there's others, right? Like the Shays, and even on this show, like the pre-Jason era, you had like Bob Milk and like his grandson on Cruz, I believe is his name.
Cruise, yep.
Yeah. So like yeah, they're random like cribbage dynasties out there. That's like the equivalent of I don't know whatever like sporting like equivalent you want to throw out there. But yeah, and I'm sure there are others that I'm missing and like great, some very fun stories, a lot of laughs over the weekend. I had a couple of nice meals. Missed you on Sunday night because the Houston crew went out with Jamie Fincher and we went out, had Indian food. Thinking like, where's Terry? But you were already on the road at that point. You decided to
Yeah.
kind of hot foot it back out to the east, to the Carolinas. Is to get things moving. You were, I got a lot of questions like, where the heck's Terry today? I go, I don't even know. And at some point, I was like, "Are you here?" You're like, "No,
Oh.
man, I'm out."
Yeah. That was the plan. I didn't, I probably should have texted you. A couple of things though, to give Chad a little bit of credit. He did make a Consi final on,
Yeah,
Friday night,
yes, that's true.
and,
Yes, that's
he
correct.
ended up, runner up to Pat Jewell, who had a grand slam. Apparently, I erroneously posted that she went undefeated through the whole playoffs.
Yeah,
Apparently,
I
that
heard she lost one. What
she
a
did
bad
take
day.
1 loss, so still impressive. Nothing I've ever done. So, congrats to her, and, she was really, you could just see in the picture that I put on the podcast account, she was really, you know, she was really thrilled
Thrilled, right?
to win
Yeah,
that.
that
Yeah.
that smile. I always say, and I don't advocate any violence to anyone, but like every once in a while when I'm happy, it's like a smile that you could not like smack off my face. And to me, that's just the easiest way to describe it is when somebody has a true, genuine smile that like there is real joy there. Maybe I need to find a better way to like say that. But like I saw that in that picture, I was like, yeah, wow, she looks really, really happy. That's awesome. So I'm always happy when you see that with like winners. Um, so yeah, totally blast of a weekend. Can't wait to do it again. Yeah, again, credit to like everybody involved in running that. I know I cross checked. It was funny. I cross checked a little bit over the weekend and got to deliver that news to Chad twice, which kind of he's a bit of a nemesis of mine lately. Like I always Jacob French is kind of my like nemesis, and like I feel like Chad's in there too. For some reason, I just can't beat. I think I've lost like 3 straight like matches to that guy. Um, so it's just kind of where it's at.
He
So yeah, deliver the get to be the reaper. You deliver him the news of not in there. So
he helped me. If it weren't for him, I would not have won Wisconsin because I needed a skunk to get my 15-7, and he was that guy. So I'm pro Chad.
I mean, I don't know if I'm pro or anti Chad. I mean, I think he's funny. Like, he's fun to screw around with, make jokes about the Chiefs. Like, I don't know if the man owns a stitch of clothing that isn't Kansas City Chiefs related, or if he owns any shoes that aren't open toe. But those who haven't met Chad, like that's his kind of normal gear is like, flip flops and like a Chiefs shirt. It's one of these people like, it's like certain things, like the whole thing with like Richard Petty and like the hat and glasses or whatever. Like it's, I'd never recognize him without it. Like Chad walked up to me in like a suit or something. I feel like I'd like have a heart attack or like stroke out or something. Like I think I would freak me out. Be like, "You cord or something?" Like um, but yeah, I had some fun games. Like got to just have some nice conversations. Sunday got to waiting around in the con a little bit. I got to do one of my favorite games, which is when you're in like a bar, you get to be jukebox hero.
I Not me.
No, no, no. But I ended up with like a lot of $1 bills just from like one of the envelopes that I got was just like had like 15 ones in it. I'm like, and my wallet's kind of small. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, this isn't gonna work. I gotta find something to do with these, tipping everywhere I can and this and that. Walked into the bar, I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do? And just fed those suckers into the jukebox and started like playing all these things. Like it's fun. It's fun also like playing like kind of like Chapel Roan and like a crusty like country bar kind of atmosphere and stuff like that. Get the looks that you get on people's faces. So anyway, we'll move along. So yeah, again, congrats to everybody. Congrats to all the winners over the weekend. Like I had a really really nice time. I can't wait to do it again. Even had some little bit of planes and trains and automobiles on Monday morning. But got home safe and everything was good as far as everybody else got home safe. So we'll jump to the fantasy draft here, and I don't know. I just got to thinking over the weekend, like that. There were a few matches, the quote unquote like popcorn matches, right? The this, the that, and I was thinking to myself, and like I don't tend to like linger and watch matches too long. But every once in a while there are ones. And what would be like appointment viewing, right? If you heard there's two players playing in like a semifinal or a final, um, for whatever reason, right? Whether it be like stellar play or entertainment or fun or whatever it is. Like the what would be like the heated rivalry? What would be the a thing that would get you going to see. And so that's going to be our fantasy draft today is I don't know what we're going to call this, like in playoff matches you'd like to see. And so not just like good players, but like styles too. So that's what we're going with today. So define, as always, define it however you want to define it, unless you want to call cornbread a dessert, but that's beside the point. And I'm looking around for the nickel of
I
destiny here.
I got the quarter of destiny if we need it.
Yeah, we may need to pinch hit today because I'm sure it's around here somewhere.
Do you have a
Like
messy desk? Is that what's going on?
yeah, sometimes I like to say I'm a minimalist, and it's because I'm not the I don't think I'm a slob or anything like that, but I'm not a super clean person. I'm not like a germaphobe like somebody I know. But like things have like places, and if they're not in those places, then I don't know what to do. So yeah, the nickel is MIA at the moment. I'm sure it'll show
All
back
right.
up. But yeah, if you want to flip it, you want to
All right.
call it or you want me to call?
You call it.
I'm gonna call it tails this time.
Okay. All right. Heads.
Okay. All right. Well,
Can't.
you can have the first pick or you can defer here.
I'm gonna take the first pick.
Okay.
And I'm really kind of excited. Some of my matches have themes.
Mine
Uh,
too. Mine too. As I was kind of like scribbling down what I would want on these. So go ahead.
so I am going to take as my first intriguing playoff match Doug Page versus Peyton Ream.
Ooh, okay. I have a sneaking suspicion what the theme is on this, but go ahead.
Well, I don't know everybody's ages, but Doug Page is an elite player over the age of 90. And I feel like my brain is slipping at 42 years old. So the way he's been able to sustain his effectiveness as a cribbage player throughout the decades is impressive. And then you have Peyton, who's high school age. For a while, she's going to be one of the youngest players in the room. And she's younger than her sister, Abby, by the way, even though she's taller. And you would assume maybe Peyton's older. She is younger.
Correct.
And so I don't know. I just think it would be fun to watch, to be on two ends of the age spectrum and just watch how it plays out in a best 3 out of 5.
Yeah, what do they talk about? And there's like 78 years of difference between the two of them or something, like talk about music or something, like I can imagine they have a whole lot in common, but I agree styles like that are interesting. So
Yeah.
that's a good pick for your first one there. I'll give you credit on that one. All right. I'm gonna stay stock with my first pick. And I don't know if it's ever happened this one, but like I have to go with Eric Locke against Voldemort. Um, I don't think they've ever had a playoff match together. I know they've like played and things like that, but I don't think they've ever had a match against one another. I know one year in the TOC in Reno, both of them got to the semifinals, and so there was a potential for a final between the two of them, but it didn't
Oh wow.
materialize. So I don't know if they've ever actually truly had like a playoff match. It's not like there's not a lot of overlap between like where they play, but like, who doesn't want to sit down and like watch that in a 5 gamer or 7 gamer, just knock down, drag out. So, um, like, I don't think anybody doubts that they are, I don't know, in my opinion, like two of the best 3 players that are alive. I think at worst, I think at worst top 10. I think you're crazy if you don't think top 5, but like I'll hear people out on that. But yeah, I think that's the first one. I just have to take a stock on that one. For my second one, I'm gonna go with what the match I'm gonna call Mr. Congeniality. It's like the battle for Mr. Congeniality, like the two of the nicest people, kindest people. Um, and that's going to be like Mike Fetchel and Jim Langley.
Wow. Good one.
Right. Like I did brilliant players and just very, very kind people, just people with a smile on their face. I feel like I don't think I've ever seen either of them be anything but absolute sweet human being. Had a match, had a game in qualifying with Fetchel, just super nice guy, and like Langley's always been nice. So I don't know if you want to call that one like Mr. Nice Guy or something like that. But of course, so many like kind people in the organization, but like those are two that just like jumped out to me if I want to watch a match. Like and again, I think that's a really competitive match too. Like what's it, people sleep on Langley. He's got like I don't know, 50 something wins, Hall of Fame. Like when they talk about the greats, I don't know if he gets enough credit. So
Yeah, he's up there. We were just covering him, top 5 or 10 of all time with
mhm.
wins. All right, back to me.
Yes, 2 in a row
Oh,
here for you.
okay. This would be like a battle of the young guns. I'm gonna go with James Ravenscroft versus James McCarty. And yes, I
Ooh.
didn't say Jimmy because I wanted to say James versus James. But yes, those two. Again, I've struggled mightily with both of them in a tiny sample size. And I think McCarty's probably about 30 and James is mid 20s or so. So, they're going to be two of the youngest guys in the room and two guys that are going to win tournaments several times over. There could literally be a playoff match eventually at a big tournament between these two.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that would be a fun one to watch. Both cerebral, like sharp players, both really, really good. Both kind of, I don't know, on the quieter side, right? Not the most like talkative humans, right? But they
Yeah.
let their cards kind of do the talking. I think that's a good one. It's funny. I had a one with Jimmy on here that I was going to potentially take, and not that like you fully sniped me, but I think you did it. I think you did it better than what I had on it, so I'm not going to do that. So that's a real. I think that's a good idea there. Okay.
All right. I'm going to preface my next match by saying it would be better if both players were 6 beers deep. And that's going to be Megan Player versus Kathy Pacocha. I think that would be one of the most entertaining playoff matches of all time.
Go on. Continue. Tell me why. Go.
So, I mean, just two big personalities, and beer helps. Typically people are.
I've definitely seen a couple of them throw down a couple. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
I think so. I think they'd be the first to admit that. And I don't know. I just think it's just a good random match, and I'd buy a ticket to see it.
yeah, I would too. I would too. Both very talented players, like sharp, very kind people too. Like yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Like, I'm not used to you having like good drafts. Like, I'm used to your drafts being like questionable, and I can give you crap about it. But these ones are like A+ so far. All right. I'm gonna stick with themes on my last two here. The third one I'm gonna call like Battle of Poker. People with poker backgrounds. And I think both of them are just really, really fantastic players. Also, kind of similar like personalities too, in the ways that I think they kind of carry themselves. And that is Haley Hansen, Brian Gurdon.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like both kind of like imposing figures, like people that I don't want to be on like the bad side of, right? Both of them are kind of like just again, just the way they kind of like they're not mean people or anything like that. They just something about the way they like carry themselves and the way they play cards. And they're both again right in the poker background. Like Brian was a like a pit boss in a poker room. Just recently retired. Haley is still like a poker writer, and so they both have those backgrounds. So those are important things in cribbage that are a little bit slept on. Is just the importance and the abilities of like I don't know reading people and like and I feel like I could learn something from that match. So and like I said, I value like the knowledge that I've gotten from like both of them. They're both people that if I have like a tough hand and they're around in the room, I'll be like, all right, I got one for you. Right. So, but I think that would be a really, really interesting match. Okay. For my last one, gosh, I've got two here. I've got one that's like serious and one that's not. All right, I'm gonna go serious with the last one. And I'm gonna go the pegging aspect of cribbage is so important. It's not as if the people that I mentioned before are not good peggers, but sincerely, like the two best peggers that I have experienced watching playing, who maybe in particular, like one who I feel like holds hands a little different and always has like good reason the pegging seems to work out. But like, I'm gonna say Scott Sand against Kendra Munkazy. Both of
Oh.
them just the way they peg hands is just fantastic, and people I feel like that I like just the way they play this game impresses me. And like even over the weekend, I asked Scott Sand about a hand, which we will get to. In fact, I don't even think I have it in the thing, so maybe I'll save that one for next week. But like, I thought there were two distinct ways to hold the hand, and he had a complete other way he thought to do it. So I thought it's so I don't know. Both of them I think are just super sharp. And that's one. In fact, that's the first one I wrote down on my sheet when I was like show prepping. Believe it or not, like I actually prepped for this like madness. So I should be embarrassed that this is the product that comes out when I prep. You should see what happens if I don't. But yeah, that was the first one that wrote down. It's like if I really want to watch two players go at it, like just attack, that I feel like it would be so hard to like predict and kind of see what's coming with the way they do things. So those are the two that like jump to the first of my mind. So, all right, that's my last one. You got one more here, Terry.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with two players that are elite, but polar opposite personalities.
Okay, yeah, I'm here for this. Yeah.
Cy Madrone versus Peter Setian.
The quiet versus the calm versus the storm, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. The
And
calm versus the storm. Yeah.
that would be just a really intriguing matchup. My sample size with Cy is small. I've played multiple playoff matches with Peter Setian. Only won one of them, by the way. I think he knocked me out of at least 3 or 4. But both good players. I enjoy playing them both, and it'd be fun to watch them play each other.
That's a good one. It's funny, like we're had similar thinking on this because the one I didn't, and I'll give up also receiving votes here. I wanted to call this one earplugs optional. I had Cy Madrone versus Phil Martin.
Oh, good one.
Yeah, right. So I think we were on the same like wavelength on that one. The other ones, the only other one I had written down, like you mentioned the Jimmy Picardi. I said Jimmy Picardi against Bob Chase. I really, really like Bob Chase's game, and again, kind of a little bit of a quieter guy, but like I feel like that's something I would learn from like that one.
Mhm.
So yeah. Do you have any other like backup ones in the coffer you want to mention here?
No, I saved Psy for last. And it's funny because I think before I pivoted to him, I was trying to put Phil Martin into a matchup. And then
Mhm.
I was scrolling down through multiple years of standings, and then finally I got pretty far down. And Peter Setian doesn't play a ton of tournaments, so he's
No, he
never going to
does
be
not. Yeah.
he's never going to be ranked super high. But I happened to go deep into one of them, and I'm like, oh, he's my opponent for Psy.
Yeah, that's that's a really good one. Just the Yeah, like so different. Well done. Well done on that one. All right. Well, what's your dream playoff matchup that you'd like to watch? Cribbage podcast at gmail.com. Please send those in. I'd love to hear what, the matches that people would want to see in their own playoff atmosphere. All right. So let me hit the mailbag really quick here. Let me see a couple of them here. Particularly with desserts. Mike Delaney checks in and mentions the chocolate stampede from Longhorn Steakhouse, and he sent along a picture. So thanks for that, Mike. Now I got to try to not seek chocolate. I mentioned strawberry shortcake, kind of underrated. Like that's one of those desserts, strawberry shortcake. The good versions of it are really, really good, and I think I grew up with like bad versions of it. In fact, strawberries in general, I feel like when you're talking about fruit, like the good of a strawberry is really, really good, and the bad of a strawberry is really, really bad.
I would agree with that.
Okay. Yeah. The look on your face, yeah, is telling me that I know that Terry, like, I don't like this, like, look at this point.
Yeah, it's the textures, the clash of textures going into your mouth. It just doesn't do it for me. Like cheesecake is like you can pour strawberry stuff on it, and it's still a hard texture, kind of. So I'm okay
Mhm.
with that, but I'm not okay with the softness of the, cake, strawberry shortcake. So
Okay. Fair enough. And then he also mentions icebox pudding, which I'd never heard of. I've heard of icebox cake, but not icebox pudding. He says this is a layer of graham cracker and then a layer of pudding and then another layer of graham cracker. Just keep alternating layers till the dish is full. I bet it's really good, but I never had it. So thank you for that. Robert Milkshakes on also and mentions his hi, hashtag Team Terry and hashtag Team Jason. His favorite desserts are homemade ice cream. With only natural ingredients and flavors. I don't know if I've ever had like homemade ice cream. I think Sarah has like an ice cream maker, but I don't recall her recently making like ice cream. I should get on her about that. But she says, Bob says, much richer than most commercial brands. Note to Jason, please read on air. At least Bluebell ice cream is still sold in half-gallon containers. I will contend that Tillamook ice cream is far superior to Bluebell ice cream if you're going to do like grocery store ice cream. Just my own take on that one. Like,
don't they do beef jerky as well,
yes,
Tillamook?
they do. They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a dairy company. I think it's based out of Oregon. I think there's like a Tillamook, Oregon.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's if I have to pick like a grocery store brand ice cream and I'm buying like that size of thing, I think I'm taking Tillamook like every time. He also mentions black walnut cake, known in his family as Grandma Gould's cake. His great great grandmother, which I also found in an 1862 White House recipe book, more dense and drier than cakes of today. Mentions apple pie, hashtag Team Terry, made with 75% Macintosh apples and 25% drier apples. And this is, I am waiting for the Terry look on his face with this one, with a slab of Vermont extra sharp cheddar cheese. I've heard of that before, like cheese on pie. Like, and your face is telling me, like,
No.
just for those who aren't like watching this, I think, like if you're listening to this, maybe go find the YouTube. Like Terry's looks on his face are sometimes like worth, especially when you talk about food. But yeah,
I
I've
thought
heard of like cheese on pie. It's just not my like thing per se.
I thought she was gonna say mayonnaise, and I would have had to abruptly leave the show.
Are you just an anti mayo guy, or just not in that
I
spot?
don't like it. No, I hate it on everything.
Everything? Nothing?
I mean, you could mix it in with the tuna, I guess, because you have to, but yeah, I don't like heavy mayonnaise.
Okay. All right. I'm team mayo. Like if I'm picking like a fry, like a like condiment, mayonnaise is gonna be my like number one pick. Like just
Mustard.
okay. I don't mind. It's very how sling blade of you, Terry. Like, but no, I don't mind mustard on. I feel like ketchup is just as far as inferior condiment. Okay, well, moving on here. He also mentions tiramisu. So it mentions to try one from a real Italian bakery. That never had. I think we mentioned tiramisu briefly on last week's episode. You said you never had it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's good. Tiramisu's good. And mentions jungle bars, which are similar to Team Jason's Blondie pieces with both chocolate and butterscotch or caramel chips. Says he won a blue ribbon at the Marshfield which is a place in Massachusetts, apparently fair with these. See you both in January 30th in Sun Lakes, Arizona. So thank you for that, Bob. Let me see what else here. And Mr. Anderson checks in. Kevin Anderson checks in. And once again, I did not like pre-read too much of it, but he mentions the standings in particular. Said last week was a good week for me to agree with Terry to a tune of 4-3. Jason not so much 2-5. But he is still 53% with me, 47% with you. Something that you guys can discuss sometime. And this is, I did pre-read this element. He said, Jason talks occasionally about getting tilted, get yourself out of it. How do you handle it if it's an opponent that's obviously in that headspace, or even someone you'd legitimately like to see have a good day? I felt that this weekend was on the other side of the board from it a couple times recently. I just find it so difficult, especially when you know it's a rather high-end player that's not catching it at the moment. I think that's a good question. Like, we've all played people who are tilted, who are clearly like ticked off. Do you do anything different? Do you like it? Is how do you handle those situations?
I'm way better at it than I used to be because as recently as maybe 8 years or so ago, I might go off the rails a little bit, just completely lose focus and, not be sharp like I should. And in recent years, I really like if I'm mad, I try to just convert that into, hyper
Not you,
focus.
not you though, right? Like, I don't know if you
Oh,
misheard
okay.
the question, but if
Maybe I
you
did.
are, how do you handle it if it's an opponent that's obviously in that headspace?
Oh,
So if you are playing
yeah,
against
my
someone
bad.
who is in, it's okay. I mean, I could have read it better. So so what is there anything when you're playing somebody who is clearly pissed off, clearly tilted, thrown, like, you do anything different? Do you try to, I mean, we're all trying to win games, right? Um, but is that an opportunity? Like is there anything that, you know, do you use that?
Well, I mean, I try to throttle people anyway with endless aggression, so I doubt that's gonna cheer them up, just based on how I naturally play. And I do find that psychologically sometimes, even if they're not so much tilty, like if they know they're gonna get hammered with a bunch of offense, if I'm gonna jump on anything, sometimes it just gets them off their game anyway.
Okay, fair enough. I think that, and I've definitely found myself in spots like you're playing somebody who's in that spot. Like, I almost want to miss cuts when that's happening, right? Like, you have like 4, 4, 5, 6, and you're like, uh-oh. Like, if I hit this, oh my God, they're gonna explode. Like, what
Yeah.
do I do? You have like, king, king, queen, jack, and you're just waiting for the queen to cut or something. I don't know. It's like I try not to pile misery on people. And I've definitely like I will cut the BS when that's happening for sure. Like I won't try to really, it's just try to keep my head down, play, just focus on the cards and nothing more. Like, don't need to have table talk and this and that. Um
Yeah.
there's a couple players, there's some that were not my favorite humans that when that stuff's happening, I do and I'm not gonna like go over the line or anything. I'm not gonna really, really try to twist a knife, but kinda, get a little enjoyment, kinda if anybody's ever seen the meme of like the little girl with like the look on her face outside of like a fire.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
right. Yeah, right. Kinda have that mentality about it. Like, yeah, I'm gonna get them. Right. Like I did that at grassroots way back in the day once, and I knew I had somebody like on the edge. And I held 4, 4, 5, 5, and I didn't have to like snap the six and just like because I knew it was gonna like just absolutely wreck them, and it did. They didn't do anything inappropriate or whatever it is, but they were just like it was kind of the last straw. And so I don't know. I usually don't like do that. Try it too hard. Well anyway, but yeah, other he mentioned else that what is it? He hopes we had a fun time in Fort Walton and opted for Marinette, which I always hear is a great tournament. Like Marinette, Wisconsin. Um, and said he stole Terry's sizzling cards. Had a 22-10 at lunch with 12 games, and just scrolling through. Had a great match with Doug Page, who got me with an unlikely 12 crib when I was at 118 and dealing. And then let me scroll through the rest of it. I ended up with a 31-14 plus 204. That's big plus for 14 wins. And said the standings are very close with no 28s qualifying. I feel like that happens more in the Central, where you hear these stories about like no 28s qualifying, and it's like I don't see how that happens. Like,
Typically, it would probably be a smaller tournament, but yeah, I mean, that's a gut punch when you turn it in,
especially if it's
assuming.
clean,
Yeah,
right? Like if you have like 28-12, okay, it's like, okay, I might, there's a chance I might miss, but yeah,
right.
if I turned in one of those, it's almost one of those. I feel like there's certain like clean cards where you should be like guaranteed in.
Mhm.
Just thought, like, like you get 20, if you have 14 wins in a 22 game, I feel like you should be like, guaranteed entry or something like that. Like we kind of talked about it before, instead of taking top 25%, if you just take a flat score. But I feel like there should almost be like a rule. And it's like, and I don't know what those lines would be, but like if you have a clean card, and have 14 wins, you should be in. Just Jason's commentary, the statements made by Jason, but they do not necessarily reflect that of Terry Cushman, the competitive cribbage
I'm
podcast,
okay with
American
that.
Cribbage Congress.
I would support that one, honestly.
Okay, all right. Yeah, there should almost be some lines where it's like a certain guarantee. Like, no, these like dirty cards or whatever it is. Like, what is it? I think Chad was hyped on twice, and I think in like it's a 20 gamer, right? So I think his card that missed was like 24-11 or something like that. No, like not that like a 20 game or whatever it is, but these like clean cards, yeah, let them in. So let me see what else. You go on, I cut you off.
I was gonna say the crazy thing about Fort Walton this weekend was like a 24-11 got in. That's only one win above average, 50-50. So
Right.
it's crazy that 75% of the room did worse than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
It's weird how fields can be like flat in those ways. And I was cross-checking and there were no 24-12s. Like there was only one 24 that got in at all, but there were
Oh,
no 24-12s. The rest were 25 and up. Um, but yeah, I was a little surprised that any 24s had a shot, but especially like I expected there to be at least one clean one. So, but not the
mhm.
case. So all right. Well, I think that's it for the mailbag. I may have missed one here, but the rest I think are hands. And the long match, I'll mention again to the long match. Had another couple of people show up, and we are at, by my unofficial count, 46 entrants so far for the long match. So I think next week on the show, we're going to try to do the drawing for the bracket for that. So we will close entries soon. So if you have emailed for the long match, don't panic. Like I think I've tried to answer everybody, but I will send an email shortly. It's on the 20th that we're recording this. So like probably by the 21st, I'm going to send an email to everybody who's reached out, confirming entry.
Uh-oh. We lost Jason. Here we go. Hang on. I
I
think we
lost
both,
connection there for a minute. Yeah, I don't know what
yeah, just
happened.
blanked out really fast, but we're back.
So I don't know where I left off, but we're at 46 people. I think I'm going to be emailing everybody shortly to confirm that they're in. So if you've emailed, you please rest assured. Like I think I've got everybody, but we'll make sure we're not missing anybody. And I think next week on the show we're going to do the drawing live. I think I have the right software to kind of show it the way we want to show it and kind of reveal the bracket with hopefully like requisite fanfare, have some fun, like popcorn matches, if you will. So had a few people ask me about the long match in Fort Walton, and I'm like, yeah, we're getting to it. What is it? Canadian Jordan. I'll give uh, credit Canadian Jordan, who is down there in Fort Walton as well. His mom, Sherry as well, who introduced to she was Canadian Mom, is what she said was her name. Um,
One thing about them, They had a string of pearls in Canadian doubles, and I literally revoked his passport. I had his passport in my hand for about 5 seconds, but yeah.
Maybe it's just not Canadian doubles anymore. Maybe it's like, like, I don't know, like, don't just, annex everything for America, which we're not getting into on this program. But maybe it's just North American doubles now or something like that,
Apparently.
yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So let's get to the hands this week. And I'm going to make a note to myself. There was that one for next week. Because Terry, I don't know if I ever told you this, but if I don't write things down, they don't exist. And so when things come up on this show, like I'm very like spacey in the moment. Like if I don't write it down, there is no way I'm going to remember to do it. So I have one from like from before that I want to hit. All right, so here's the first hand. Hey, it still works even with me disconnecting. All right, so this one came from Denise Fortin, and I did not size this well enough to show it. So I'm gonna really there we go. Here's the proof. I got to play Daryl, by the way, this weekend. And boy, Daryl had a rough weekend. I think he smacked me. We played twice and we split. And we said that that's typically what he and I do. So we play, and whoever wins the first one is ended up going to lose in the next one, and that's what ended up happening. But in the Friday main, he whacked me pretty good. So all right, so here's the first hand from Denise, and it said it was in a home game with Daryl. For those who are not watching, I guess I'll read off the hand. So in case you're not psychic. So you are first count in hole 10. Your opponent is dealing in hole 9. So that's not 10 out, 9 out. That's 10 and 9, like start of the game. And you are dealt 5, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. As classic, like just brutal spot, right? Like early in the game, like I like aggression early, but I don't like giving away a whole game here. Right. I feel like always when I have hands like this, the first 2 cards I look at are like the 2 5s, and then it goes downhill from there. The first 2 cards are the 7 8. You go, okay, cool. And then but yeah, this is one of those classic, like you have 2 3 card hands. How do you like to hold this one, Terry, in this spot?
I think the most defensive throw you can do is probably 7-9, but for some reason, I'm going to throw 8-9 here and keep the 5-5-7 together just to give yourself a shot at 12. A 3 helps it quite a bit, and then any face card you still have 10, and just hope to dodge the bullet in the crib. So 8-9 for me.
Okay, and to clarify, you said the best defensive throw being, I think you said 7-9. I mean, clearly,
so.
like 10, clearly 10-7 is the best defensive throw.
Oh,
but you never actually hold it that way. I just,
yeah.
clarity sake. I think I'm team 7-9 on this one. Right. I think I want to hold 6 points here. And the 7-9 is a little safer. I don't really see the value you do in holding the 7 with that. I'll live with it if the 6 cuts. But I just rather not throw connectors if I can help it here. But it's a good hand from Denise because I think there's like 4 or 5 different ways to do this, right? Like I think you can make a case for I think you can make a case for what you said, right? 8-9. I think you could throw 7-9. I think you can make a case for 9-10. Just hold the 4 points and hold 5-5-7-8. I think you can make a case for 5-9 and hold 5-7-8-10. I don't not super strong cases for those, but there's a lot of different ways that this could be done. But yeah, just I went to 6 points, and 7-9 is better than 8-9 in my book. So
Denise is gonna email us back and tell us she cut a 6.
maybe so, and if so, so be it. It's what is it?
Yeah.
4 out of 46. It happens. But you know what? You didn't. Did you have a running count? Starting,
Yeah, it was 46-38, so make that 46-39 as of
Yep.
this very minute.
Okay. All right. And again, cribbagepodcast@gmail.com is the best place to submit hands. But, if you want to just ping any of us. Okay. So here's one I had. First hand out of the box. And maybe I'm crazy about this. And you know what? As I realize now, I submitted this incorrectly. So just let me be clear. It is because this is not a difficult one if it is not your crib. but it is your crib. So I submitted this wrong. I'm my mea culpa to me on this. So just if you're looking at this on the YouTube, it says you are not the dealer, but you are the dealer. So it's first hand out of the box, your own crib. Ace 3 5 5 7 8. Just kind of couple different roads you can go here. Is one that I wrote down. I don't think this is the most difficult one. I think it's maybe just a little too cut and dried, but not every cribbage hand has to be a difficult one. So I don't know. That being said, Terry, how do you like to do this?
My crib, I feel like I still have to throw the ace 8.
Really?
I
Okay.
mean, in a Hail Mary, maybe you can throw the nickels, but first hand of the game, I don't know. I mean, any face card gives me 10 and you have 2 gut shots or double gut shot for 12. I'm
Okay.
just gonna stay conventional.
Okay. I threw the nickels in this spot, and I think that's the way I like to hold this one. Especially first hand of the box, I've got a magic 11 there. If I pulled the ace 3 7 8, I can kind of play on or play off with the pegging. Like if I whiff everything, I don't know if there is a cut that kind of misses everything here. I guess a 4 is kind of, I don't know, like a like a like a 3, an ace, I guess would be the closest thing I could think that's like a miss everything cut. Holding ace 3 7 8 and with fives to the crib. Like, then I could maybe peg a little more aggressively, but I like nickels in this spot. And like I said, breaking up 4 points is not my favorite, but just gives some real upside to this one. I think I ended up with a 14 crib again. Not that that makes it right or wrong, but I can't
Okay.
even submit the hand right, so it shows you how much credibility I have here. So, all right. So here's one I had. I'll give a little background to this one too. So this is against Mike Fetchel in qualifying. Um, and this is one that I kind of tanked on for a little while, just early in the game. And I'm looking, I want to look at my picture again, because again, I wonder if I submitted this wrong. Maybe my brain is not right today. No, that's the spot. Okay. So you are first count in hole 10. Your opponent is dealing in hole 15. And the hand is ace, ace, 3 3 5 queen. This is maybe the hand I took, if not the longest this weekend. Got to be close to it. To me, this was just kind of a brutal spot. I didn't see anything I liked in this particular one. What do you think here, Terry?
To me, the 2 throws are either the aces or the 3 queen. I think where it's so early in the game, I'm just gonna be willing to toss the aces here. Typically, I don't get burned on that throw, and I don't often get rewarded either by throwing them to my crib, so I'll throw the aces. If we're late on 3rd Street, I may go 3 queen, but not this early.
Okay. Yeah, this is to me, this was just tight, right? It's the start of a game. I don't want to do anything crazy. I think Queen 5 is worth considering here. I'm not saying that's the move, right? It's hyper aggressive, but breaking down from 8 to either 4 or 2 points here is not my favorite. And particularly if I'm throwing points like the aces. Um, like, why would I not just, biggest hand, biggest draw? I guess you're not truly breaking down from 8, but you're breaking down from a likely 8. I should give that the proper caveat. But I think queen 3 is the toss here. Just it gives the most flexibility. Um, and it's a very Voldemort thing, right? It's just when you catch kind of clunkers, just let's not make it worse. So in this one, and again, like, Fetchel is a player that I respect so much, and it was just one of those where it's like, and he even said it as I was like just pondering on it. He's like, "That looks like a podcast hand," and I started to write down the position. And I was like, "Yeah, I think I am going to do this one." So there you go, Mike. And for the record, in that game, I again just was on a heater. Like, I did not really miss the whole day. In that second half of the day, and against Mike, I just my hands were really, really good the whole day. So this one, I don't even remember what happened. Clearly it went well for me, whatever it is. But I think just it's too early with nothing good enough to throw something like queen 5, and aces to me even is not my favorite, so I think queen 3 here. So that's the old one chili pepper disagree. Alright, here's another just brutal one. I believe this was pretty early on in the Saturday main. So you are first count in hole 29. Your opponent is dealing in hole 25, and the hand you're dealt is 7, 8, 10, 10, Jack, Jack.
I don't love it. Um,
I don't love
I'm
any of this. This is one of
yeah.
these. If I get one like redeal per match, when I got dealt this one, I think I would have chucked him in and been, let's run it again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love anything here, and I'm not gonna hold just 2 points, so I'm throwing the jacks.
Okay. I think that's a reasonable option. It is not what I opted for in this
Oh,
one.
no, you threw the 7, 8?
No, I threw 7
Oh,
jack. I threw 7 jack. I thought breaking
oh,
this was the spot. Um,
okay.
just like I wasn't crazy about any of my options, and it was just like I think if I'm gonna opt for aggression here, I want the big draw, right? Like I don't like throwing 7, 8 in this spot, but I think if I deem that it is a spot for offense, then I am gonna, they say no half measures. And I think this is one where it's just if you're gonna go, you go. If you don't, then you don't. And Jack 7 to me felt like a reasonable middle ground. I still had some, a draw, right? 9 cut is still very good for me. Um, but yeah, just breaking it, finding a better spot, a better time, and I threw Jack 7 in this spot. So
I might throw 7, 10 instead if I was gonna break it, just to try to get one more point out of it with a jack.
yeah, yeah, I guess maybe I missing that element of it. Yeah, and then maybe that's what I did. Hold on, now I'm questioning myself because like I write down the hands in the back of my scorecard, but I usually don't write like what I did. Usually I can remember it, and I'm wondering if in this spot, like I threw the 10-7 instead of the jack 7. I'm starting to think I did because I think similar logic, right? Like there's no difference between 8, 10, 10 jack and 8, 10 jack jack in a
Mhm.
hand like that. Like, so I think that's where I did end up landing, not trying to like make myself seem better. Like, believe me, I blow so many. Anybody who listens to this program knows that I blow it on a lot of different hands, but I think I mildly disagree here in the throwing the jacks versus that. I just right holding 4 and throwing 2, especially 2 that are like reasonably dangerous, right? Just is not my like place for that. So, all right, moving along here. Right, here's another spot that I just thought was just kind of a real thinker. So you are far ahead in this hand, 65 to 37. So you're up 28 points, almost whole street. Um, it is your opponent's crib, and you are dealt 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 10. Now, Terry Cushman, if I know you like I think I know you, I think we're going to agree here, but I have been wrong so many times. You're not an easy person to read. But yeah, break down this position. Like give me more than just what you're tossing here. Give me more about like why and how you read this.
Well, if you go to the Church of Gurdon, you always need a skunk, and if that's
It's a good congregation at this time. Probably a heavy one. So
if you're gonna relatively be in position here with a couple different holds at least, you want to maintain your 28-point lead, you could throw 6-10 here, but that's not the brand of my offense. I'm gonna throw the tens and just keep the 4 running cards together.
it's funny, like so many times when we talk about hands, we end up at the same answer but completely different routes. Um,
Okay.
I do agree the tens, right? But I think I would if I'm gonna break this, I think I still break it 10-8 and hold 5 instead of 4. But I do agree, I think the 10s are the way to throw this. Right, like, I'm trying to make it to position here. I just, not really thrilled about holding 4 points and holding 5, 7, 8, 10, which is really bad pegger too, by the way, right? Like 5, 7, 8, 10. You can get a lot of trouble with that hand. But like that one's not quite worth the squeeze there. But it's just one of those. It's as I pick up this hand, I go, God, this is yeah. I feel like I want to stay aggressive. I want to hold the guaranteed like 6 points. Um, like the where I'm almost guaranteed to cut into 8 here. In fact, I think everything hits me to at least 8 points here.
Mhm.
Like it's where I want to be. But there are routes to losing this one, right? It's that one where you picture the 3 going on your scorecard and it like morphs like a Back to the Future like photo
To a
from a
0.
3 into a 0. Yeah, those happen often, right? You start picturing the 3 on your scorecard and it just shifts on you. But yeah, I think the 10's a throw here. What do you so how else are you navigating this? Right? Like are you always leading the 8 here no matter what cuts? Is there a spot where you ever lead a 5? Like does the cut change anything? Does your opponent change anything?
I would say I lead the 5 often with 5, 6, 7, 8. Um, I may lead the 6 in this spot just to be a little safer. If they
And
pair the 6, that's the nightmare situation. You just play the 5 and perhaps, pair a 7, on the end, and hopefully you're out of it at that point.
that's interesting. Because I wonder if I'm trying to ponder like some elements of this. Like I don't know. I feel like if I were to lead the 6 and they were to pair it, I feel like I'd just up the count, play the 8. Like, are they gonna have a lot of 7s with 6s if they're gonna like if they're pairing a 6 lead? Like, it doesn't seem like there's too many combos where that's gonna happen. Maybe if they have like 6, 6, 7, 9, or like 6, 6, 7, 2 or something. But even then, right? Like if like you play the 8 and they have the 7, you just okay, you gave up 5 points, not the end of the world, right? You're just up in the count anyway. So
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
But I think I'm almost exclusively leading the 8 here, and I will just live with the rest of it. If I mash this cut, right, if the cut's a 7 or 8, maybe I might consider the 5 lead. But I'm not in the business of giving up 2 free pegging points for like nothing, essentially. Right? Like, is it fair to assume if they do have just a face card that you just pop the 7 at that point?
If after you lead the 5, you mean?
Yeah.
That would be my play, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Right, we do ultimately agree. Like again, we agree on like the
Yeah,
important part of this. As
yeah.
much as I'm like not trying to needle you by any means, but not on that at least. Again, the cornbread and the Ted Lasso and the stuff like that. Still watch Ted Lasso? Nothing like on the old super ultra mega master box
I
that you
still
have.
haven't on the old Super Box Elite, but no.
Oh, elite! I didn't even know you were elite. All right, yeah. All right. So this is, I believe this is the aforementioned, the Terry special here. So
This
I'll
is the
let
one
you.
I'm blaming myself
Okay.
for not qualifying. I said last week, there's some hands you'll remember for the rest of your life, and this was not nearly as dramatic as that one, but because it was against Brian Gurdon, I probably will remember it for the rest of my life. And he says we've played live before. I don't recall that. We've played a million times on the app, but yeah, perhaps we have played live. But anyway, so I am in what's most likely the final hand of the game, and I'm in the 115. Brian is dealing from 113. So if I don't get out here, he's going to get out. I'm holding ace, deuce, deuce, 7, jack, king. I think we're going to agree on the discard.
Yeah, sure hope so. Um, it's if you're not, clearly you got to throw ace deuce here, right? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's got to be king jack or king 7. Pardon me. Let me say it right at least. King 7. I feel like is really the only option to throw. So
That's
that's not really the puzzle part of this puzzle, from what I remember.
No, it's a good story, so that's why I've put it in here. And it's a tragic story, depending on who you're rooting for. And yeah, so I did. I mean, ace, deuce, deuce, jack. You have to keep the jack because, you know, if you cut a spade, you only need to peg one instead of two. And against most players here, when I hold the ace, deuce, deuce, jack in a spot like this, I'm going to lead the jack.
Yep.
And maybe I will forever now, no matter who it is. But because I was against an elite player, I figured if I lead the jack and then have to drop a two, I've completely given my hand away at that point. He's going to have a very good idea of, you know, I'm probably holding all little cards. So I tried to play the player, and I led my ace. And my hope was that he would play a small card on it, as I often do, as I'm sure you do in other spots. And he played a king on it. And my hope was he would play a middle card, then I would play my jack, push the count up to, you know,
Like 24 or something. Yeah.
something like that, and then maybe get to run out my deuces and get my points. But he had the hand he was holding was ace 4-4 king. So if I lead my jack, he's probably not going to play a king on it. So he's going to drop his ace or his four, and then I'm going to get 2 points one way or the other, assuming he doesn't play his king. But it just didn't play out. My ace had already been played. He only had after his king, he only had 2 fours left, and was able to hold me to just 1 point, and I lost in the dead hole.
I believe you have not mentioned the cut at this stage.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's understandable that it is not exactly an ace, a two, a three, or a five, or a face card. So I assume it's like a six or something that's cut.
It was an 8.
Okay, an 8, yeah. And the wrong 8 at that.
Wrong 8, correct.
Yeah. So the lesson that I get out of this, and I have done the same thing, right? When you're playing in fact, I believe it happened once with Gurdon, in that I played a hand funky once because I was trying to, well, it's gonna seem transparent if I do it the other way. Like I think I had like 3, 3, 4, 5 against him, and I decided to change it up and lead a 4 because I was way behind in the game already. I'm thinking, well, he's never going to lead a pair lead card in this spot. And he ended up pairing my 4 and just whacked me around. And he was like, yeah, that was terrible play. Because that's how Brian is, right? What I mentioned earlier, kind of the intimidation. Like he just very direct, tell you the truth. And I think in these spots, it's important when you're playing a player that maybe you're a little, I don't know what you want to call it, like starstruck, intimidated, or like somebody you feel like, and sometimes you feel like when you're playing them, it's like they can see through the cards, and that's a bad feeling. You don't want to be in that kind of spot. And so maybe you do a move that you wouldn't normally do, right? Like leading the ace in that spot. And I think it's important to remember that whoever they are, like Brian or Voldemort or Clock or Dwayne Toll or whoever, right? Remision, they're still humans. And I think you like, I think trying to outplay and outthink players like that is usually just a exercise in folly. Like just, like if you're going to play a hand and it's going to be transparent, so be it. That's just a lesson that like I've had to kind of learn from. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. It just means that's like how I see it. So like in these spots, I tend to play pretty traditional because I've tried to like just outthink or put a move on. I want to put a move on Gurdon like he's, Johnny Chan or somebody else. But a lot of times it ends up this way. So.
It's funny because, he's one of the best players in the country. I think we both agreed at one point he was a top 5 player. And
Agreed.
this was before the whole campaign kind of started where he says, I'm going for it this year. And, so my only real goal in these matches, I know I'm not going to outplay him, but if I can really limit my mistakes and not get caught in certain spots, like that's a major win for me. And throughout that whole match, I thought I navigated it pretty well. And, I had just a slight lead there at the end, but so it would have been a win that I felt really good about. And then I finally did make a pretty brutal mistake. Like instantly, I'm like, that was dumb. I should have just played it the way I normally would have, and he got me.
Yeah, but it's and it's painful when those things happen, right? And I always try to I want to use it. I want to learn from this. Like I blew a match once against Terry Weber that I will, was burned in my head for like the rest of my life. And I will always say that, like, okay, I want to at least get something out of this suffering, right? Like, try to what lessons have I learned, and that's at least how I try to handle like the mentality of those things. Like, yeah, I'm gonna blow, and listen, I'm gonna blow it like more. Like the only way I could never blow another cribbage hand is if I just stop playing. Um, so just for any skill level that's listening, like it's okay when you make what you feel like is a mistake. And sometimes people come and talk to me about hands. They're like, I can't believe I made this mistake. And I'm like, no, you made the right play. You just got unlucky, right? Like in this spot, right? You got tremendously unlucky in this too, right? First count from 6, and first of all, you pick up like kind of a clunker. Second part, you kind of, you know, like just not only got a clunker, but you got a clunker of a cut too. Like you win this game, I don't know, 96 out of 100 times, 97 out of 100 times. So, so anyway. All right. So, all right, this is a hotly contested hand. This is not one of my games. This is a playoff match I was watching in the main, and I thought this was fascinating. And I sent this one to the group text. I talked to a few people at tournament. I get some different opinions here. So I think you already know how you want to hold this one, but I want to hear from the cribbage community on this one. We ought to maybe try to have like a hand of the day type of thing on the show. Just one where we we got everybody's take on this. Kind of like daily cribbage hand, but this is one. It was a playoff match. It was Jim Correa. I don't think they're going to mind me saying the names. So this is Jim Correa against Scott Early, and this is from the perspective of Jim Correa. So he is first count from 15 out. So in hole 106, Scott Early is dealing in hole 93. And there's another person that we mentioned. We have not mentioned, by the way, is part of the directing crew from there. So kudos to Scott Early too on his. Well, anyway, but he's in the playoffs and this is semifinals. So the hand is to your opponent's crib, 5, 6, 8, 10, Queen, King. So let me run the whole thing again. So you are first count from 15 out. Your opponent is dealing from 28 out. 5, 6, 8, 10, Queen, King. I originally thought that there were 2 roads to go here, but apparently there are 3. Where do you fall on this one, Terry?
Yeah, I mean, my first instinct is to just hold the 5-10 Queen King. If you cut a face, you could be close enough to peg out on the next hand. But after thinking about it for an extra half a second, I looked at 6 King here and then ultimately settled on King 10.
I mark me down for an agree here. I do agree. I think we read the position somewhat similar. I think King 10 is the toss. Just like Gary McCuskey and I used to say, if you're going to play D, play D. And this is one of these spots, your first count from 15. And yes, you could hold 5, 10, Queen, King. And the 5 cut gets you 14, basically wins you the game. Right? You could still lose, I guess, in theory. But it's a little dangerous for my tastes. And I just think, right, this is kind of an all defense spot. Believe it or not, and one that you like you mentioned 3 potential throws here, which would be King 10, 6, 8, and 6 King. And what Jim ended up going with was King 8. And it seemed like most of the people I asked about this at the tournament actually agreed. And I still don't know if I necessarily agree, right? But Scott Sand and Brent Gurdon and a couple other people. In fact, I think Gurdon instantly said, "Oh yeah, King 8, no doubt." And I go, "Wow." Because yeah, I think if I'm even going to throw a number card with it, I think like King 6 would be how I would go. It's a little more defensive than King 8, but I think King 10 is just right ultra defensive here. I don't really need to hold any points. I got the 2 that I have. It's not my favorite pegger, 5, 6, 8, 10, or 5, 6, 8 Queen, pardon me, but I think this is the way you have to go on this one.
What do you lead here?
I think it depends on what cuts. I think it depends on my opponent. So if I'm Jim Corea in this spot, and so I'm playing Scott Early, against somebody I really respect, I think I'm leading the 8. And unless I have really smashed this cut, which I don't even know what the smash cut would be, like I guess a 7 is a smash cut. Um, I'm probably just trying to stay out of trouble no matter what. So like if I lead the 8, they play 7, I'm probably just playing my queen. Um, like if I lead the 8 and they play like a face card, and at that point, do I consider like dumping my 5? But the 8 kind of gives me some options on where I want to go here. Like I don't like the queen lead because then right, if they play like a 6 or a 7, I'm not really thrilled with any of my options. So I think the 8 feels the safest. I'll just like again cut dependent, right? Like it's one of those where like I've thrown king 10 and right, like and if a cut comes, let's say it's like a face card, part of it is like if I'm getting bad news, I'd like to know more about it quickly. So like if I lead the queen and they play a 5 on it, I feel pretty good, right? Throw king 10, cut a queen, like they have a 5 in their hand. Chances are they didn't have like a spare jack or a spare like jack 5 to throw in the crib, right? It's an information gaining play for me. So that might be the spot where I consider doing that. But otherwise, I think I want the 8 and just kind of steer away as best as I can.
For some reason, I kind of like the 6 lead. I feel like I can kind of navigate. Even if I get paired there, my queen could get me out because theoretically, he's not going to pair the 6 there if he's got a 9. So,
Although that's a play that more people are waking up to, and so I learned that one first from Voldemort. Like pairing 6s is not too bad, even sometimes when you have a 9. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't hate that because you feel like if they take the easy 15, you can just kind of dump your 5 there and feel pretty good about it.
mhm.
But also, right, as somebody as sharp as Scott Early, like knows the position and knows every play to make in this spot, right? So he's going to pair anything, take anything, like within reason, like cut dependent, all those other things.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't hit his hand and he's not feeling good about his crib, certainly he's probably going to go all out.
I mean, and even then, from like 15 out, right? You don't want to just hand away like a trip or something like that. What's funny is what ended up happening in this spot is they both kind of got down to the end, and there ended up being like a quad 7 situation to win the game for Jim, and he had to like Hollywood
Uh,
it a little bit. Like Scott leads a 7, and he had 2 7s in his hand, and he had to kind of like pause and think and this and that before like pairing it, you know. And as Scott goes to like play his card, I'm like, uh-oh, just kind of watching this. I'm trying so hard not to give anything away with my face. This is something to think about. Like it always drives me nuts when you see people watching like playoff matches and they give like big reactions or something. And it's like, they're not necessarily giving anything away, maybe a little bit, but like, I'm trying to stay as stoic as I possibly can as I watch. So, all right. I think that's the last one I had for this week. Let's see if we go back. Yep, that's the first one. So we are done with hands for the day. That makes us basically done for the show. Yeah, what a heck of a week, and we get to do it all again in less than 2 weeks now. Head out west to Phoenix, where again you get to be a native Houstonian. Have you practiced singing "The Stars at Night Are Big and Bright"? Like, do you know that song?
no.
Oh well, it's you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn. So we'll
Okay.
get you down. It's kind of almost like Texas state anthem. Like there's certain rules about when you hang out with the Texas crew, the things you have to do. It starts with eating a bunch of olives and then moves on to like all those other things.
Oh no.
But yeah, it's exhausting but fun weekend. And again, all the credit in the world to everybody involved with running the event. Again, just Jamie Fincher and Grant Crawford, and again, just Scott Early, who I hadn't mentioned before, and Jim Cook, I think you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, amongst many others. Congrats to everybody who had good cards, had a fun time. Just really, really A+ operation all around, and I had so much fun. And yeah, cannot wait to do it again. Um, So I guess we'll close up shop for this week. Credit as always to David Hayes and Cribbage121.com, who lets us submit the hands, at least when I submit them correctly. It shows the correct situation. But yeah, thanks to him for doing that. And I'm trying to think of anybody else we need to thank. All the 29ers and their contributors. Gosh, that is such a joy to. I don't know if you get this as much as I do, but like, right? You ever gotten a bad like review of the podcast? I feel like every
No.
time people at these things come up, be like, "Oh my god, I love it," this and that. So it's super thankful for everybody who listens. So yeah, I'm out of gas this week. My energy is dead, y'all. Like day of work, all that travel, all that good stuff. Yeah, talking through all these hands, trying to convince Gary to actually like eat some things and watch some shows. I am done for the day. I'm signing off. I'm throwing off the headphones. Thank you everybody for listening. Have a great